I dated 8 guys at once. They all saw me as a substitute, but I didn't care. As long as the money kept coming, they were all my darlings. People always ask me the same question when I tell them this story. How the hell did I end up dating 8 men at the same time? And honestly, it didn't happen because I'm some femme fatale with unbelievable charm. It happened because life cornered me into survival mode, and I got really good at playing a role that wasn't even supposed to be mine. I grew up in an orphanage, not the tragic Dickens-style one, just the basic government-funded kind where the food tastes like wet cardboard and affection is rationed like supplies. I learned early that nobody was going to save me. Nobody was going to swoop in and give me the princess life Sophia Ing grew up with. So I stopped waiting for love and focused on staying alive. By 26, I was juggling 3 part-time jobs: waitress, cashier, and a beauty consultant at a cheap mall kiosk where I basically begged strangers to try perfume. Rent ate half my income. Life was a cycle of blisters, cold leftovers, and crying in public bathrooms. Then one night, fate threw me a wild card. I met my first boyfriend, Jack Thompson. I didn't know he was rich at first. He just looked like every arrogant man who thought ordering a latte made him important. But after talking for 5 minutes, he offered me a strange job. Be my lunch date companion. No intimacy. I'll pay. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. That lunch turned into a contract. That contract turned into 3 months of me perfecting the art of being a substitute girlfriend. And eventually, 8 men. 8 very rich, very dramatic, and very emotionally unavailable men. Looking back, it's insane. But at the time, it was survival. Jack Thompson was the one who opened Pandora's box. CEO, rich, good looking in that I've never known suffering way, and the emotional range of a doorstop. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I had to dress exactly like her. White dress, light makeup, long straight hair, piano skills, optional but appreciated. Who was her? His true love. His one and only. The girl who shattered his heart and apparently left a silhouette-shaped void in his soul. He never said her name, but I paid me $20,000 per lunch, so I didn't ask. On the day everything began spiraling, I was waiting in his office in my usual costume. His office looked like the kind of place where even the plants were expensive. All sleek lines, glass walls, and the kind of air conditioning that made me feel like a refrigerated product. When Jack walked in, he froze. Then he frowned like I had personally offended his ancestors. Trying to imitate her won't make you her, he said coldly. Don't delude yourself. Bro, he was the one who told me to dress like this. But I kept my voice soft, submissive, perfect for his fantasies. As long as you're happy. He glared harder. Don't fall for me. I will only ever love her. I wanted to laugh, but instead I pinched my thigh hard enough to leave a mark and let my eyes water. Fake pain for real money. My acting skills deserve an award. I started playing the piano, badly, and halfway through he snapped. He stood up, disappointment oozing from every pore. You're unbearable today. A fake will always be a fake. He left. A notification pinged. $20,000 deposited. Yes, emotional abuse with a side of financial compensation. I called after him dramatically, Jack, I don't want your dirty money. He turned around with visible disgust and transferred another $50,000. God bless his dramatics. 10 minutes later, I was in a rideshare rushing to my next appointment. People think dating 8 men is chaos. It is, but it's calculated chaos. I had color-coded calendars, backup alarms, a boyfriend rotation chart, and a spreadsheet tracking who liked what. Ethan hates physical contact. Ryan loves compliments. Boyfriend number 5 cries easily. Boyfriend number 6 thinks he's mysterious. Boyfriend number 7 only texts before exams. Boyfriend number 8 leaves voice notes instead of speaking in person. I wasn't dating them romantically. They didn't want a lover. They wanted a placeholder for their real love. A human stand-in for someone who didn't love them back. And I was good at the job. Too good. My second boyfriend, Ethan Brooks, was a university professor who smelled like old books and stress. Unlike Jack, Ethan wasn't into roleplay. He was into control. That day he took me to the mall, not to shop for me, but to make me try on outfits so he could compare them to the ones his beloved wore. I changed clothes for 3 exhausting hours. When I tried to hold his arm, he recoiled like I was a contagious disease. I told you not to touch me. Only she is allowed to do that. He bought about $5,000 worth of clothing, none of which he intended for me to keep. Before leaving, he said, I transferred you money. Buy clothes for yourself, but nothing that looks like hers. I don't want copycats. He left. $20,000 deposited. See the pattern already? People assume the money made everything easy. It didn't. Sure, the financial security felt like air in my lungs after drowning for years, but emotionally, it was draining. Being 8 different versions of the same girl over and over while never being allowed to be myself, it messes with you. I was never hugged, never kissed, never touched, never genuinely wanted. I was paid to exist in a shape they found comforting, the shape of her. By the time I rushed to meet boyfriend number 3, Ryan Chen, I was already mentally drained. Ryan was a lot. Gold chains, fur coats, glittery sneakers, the kind of new money that screams insecurity. He offered me $1,000,000 to meet his crush and make her jealous. It should have been simple. Smile, play insecure, look fragile, make Sophia feel threatened. Then I'd walk away with enough money to finally quit all of them. What I didn't expect was Ryan suddenly snapping at me when I said I'd leave once he won his crush over. What? You don't want to be with me? He looked genuinely hurt, which was new. I instantly knew I messed up. These men were fragile eagles wrapped in luxury clothing. So I dropped my voice, made my eyes water again, and whispered, I just want to stay by your side, even if you never love me. Hit the mark. Ryan softened, but still puffed his chest proudly. Impossible. My heart belongs to her. I'll send you $2 million. After this dinner, disappear from my life. I nodded, obediently. If only I knew what was waiting inside that private room. If only I knew that all 8 of my boyfriends shared the exact same true love. If only I knew that this was the beginning of the end. People think juggling 8 boyfriends means romantic chaos. Let me correct that right now. There was zero romance involved. Not a single one of them wanted to hold my hand, or hug me, or even look at me like a person. They wanted a shadow, a placeholder, a living, breathing replica of the woman they actually adored. And I, desperately trying to climb out of poverty, sold them that shadow. After leaving Jack's skyscraper office and suffering through Ethan's medieval clothing torture session, I found myself sitting in a cafe bathroom stall, staring at myself in the mirror. My reflection looked blurry, unreal. Like I wasn't even Olivia anymore, just a very convincing concept art of a girl. I remember touching my cheek and thinking, whose face is this actually? I didn't have time to spiral. I had 15 minutes to get to Ryan. This was my life now, racing through the city, changing outfits and ride shares, pretending to be a dream that never belonged to me. But something odd happened during Ethan's date. Something I brushed off at the time, but probably shouldn't have. When he stormed off, the shopping bags piled around his chair, I noticed him pausing to fix a dress that had slipped slightly off its hanger. It was a plain white dress, simple, sweet, exactly like mine. I thought it was odd how tenderly he touched the fabric, like it was a memory or a person. He whispered under his breath, so quietly I almost missed it. She looked beautiful in this. And for a split second, he wasn't talking to me. He wasn't even aware I was there. It was like watching someone grieve a ghost. I should have realized then that all 8 men weren't just in love, they were obsessed, possibly unhinged. But I was too exhausted and too broke to think deeply. When I arrived at the restaurant to meet Ryan, he was pacing outside the private room like a man preparing for battle. Chains clinking, a fur coat that looked like it was yelling, a cologne cloud so thick I could taste it. He grabbed my elbow immediately. You know what to do, right? I nodded. Of course. Make her jealous so she finally notices you. His chest puffed out, but his eyes were jittery, bouncing all over the place. Just don't embarrass me, and don't look better than her, I whispered. What did he expect me to say? I'll dim my shine for you, my king? Please. He opened the door, and that moment, the second the room came into view, my brain short-circuited. Because inside, sitting at the long mahogany table, were 7 very familiar faces. Jack, Ethan, boyfriends number 4 through number 8. All of them. All dressed up, all staring, all in the exact same room. And at the head of the table, like some tragic Victorian heroine, sat the girl they were all obsessed with. Sophia Lynn. The real one. The original blueprint. I froze. Air? Never heard of her. My stomach dropped so hard it might have cracked the floor. Let me describe her. Sophia looked like she stepped out of a slow-motion perfume commercial. Long black hair flowing over her shoulders, a soft white dress that practically glowed, big doe eyes that shimmered like she was always 1 second away from fainting. She was exactly what men fantasize about when they say innocent. Pretty enough to be precious, fragile enough to be protected, and soft enough to manipulate without seeming manipulative. And here's the kicker. She looked exactly like me. Not identical, but close. Close enough that I finally understood why my boyfriends sometimes stared at me like they were searching for someone else through my face. Sophia's eyes widened when she saw me, then slowly dropped to where Ryan's arm was holding my waist. Just a glance, barely a twitch, but her eyes shimmered with tears instantly. Ryan, is this your new girlfriend? Her voice cracked on the last word. I swear, someone should give that girl an Oscar. The men turned to me simultaneously, like synchronized swimmers of rage. Jack's jaw clenched so hard I heard it pop. Ethan's nostrils flared like he smelled betrayal. Boyfriend number 5 looked like he was about to faint. They weren't mad at Ryan. They were mad at me. Ryan panicked. He shoved me away so hard I fell on the floor. I don't know her. The betrayal stung. Not emotionally, but physically. The marble floor hurt, okay? I looked up at 8 furious men all glaring at me with variations of, how dare this girl get close to our Sophia? Meanwhile, Sophia sniffled and dabbed her eyes with a lace handkerchief. Then she said something that sealed her place as the queen of manipulation. Don't fight over me, okay? Didn't we promise we'd stay single forever? The 9 of us. 9? Including me? Girl, what math class did you take? Watching 8 grown, wealthy, powerful men melt into soft expressions the moment she spoke, it was surreal. Like watching wolves transform into golden retrievers. They went from glaring murderously at each other to fawning over Sophia like she was spun sugar. Of course, Sophia, we'd never fight because of you. You're our everything. I sat there on the floor, invisible, a knockoff caught in a room full of originals. In that moment, I realized something chilling. These men weren't just in love with her. They were devoted, like a religion. And I was their training dummy, their practice version, their emotional punching bag, the substitute until the real goddess returned their affection. A temporary role I no longer wanted, not for all the money in the world. Ryan didn't look at me when he spoke after the dinner exploded into chaos. He just transferred $5 million into my account and muttered, for, that push. Then he had the nerve to snap. Why didn't you cling to me when I pushed you? We need to practice. Do better next time. It was at that moment, holding my aching ribs and staring at the transaction notification, that clarity washed over me. No more. Not another day. Not another dollar. Not another delusional man using my face to chase someone else's ghost. I blocked all 8 of them on every platform, changed my number, and swore I was done. I was free. Or so I thought. I thought the dinner disaster was the lowest point of this entire ordeal. I was wrong. It was only the beginning. But let me rewind a bit. Back to that moment when I was still lying on the marble floor, palms stinging, ribs aching, surrounded by 8 furious men and one teary-eyed goddess. Ryan had just pushed me so hard that my shoulder cracked against the edge of a chair. Pain shot through my arm like electricity. I was still hissing quietly when Sophia Lynn, princess of delicate sorrow, let out a tiny sniffle, and that single sniffle silenced the room. 8 grown men, CEOs, professors, heirs, and self-proclaimed geniuses froze like statues. Then they all turned toward her. Jack, the cold-hearted CEO, softened instantly. His voice dropped to a whisper so gentle, I barely recognized him. Sophia, are you hurt? Did someone frighten you? She shook her head, a fragile motion that somehow radiated angelic suffering. I'm fine. I just never imagined Ryan would have a girlfriend. Ryan practically broke the sound barrier, trying to deny it. She's not my girlfriend. I don't know her. I swear. He pointed at me like I was a random stain on the floor. Ethan, who wouldn't even let me touch his sleeve earlier, glared at me like I had committed a moral crime. So, you're the reason Ryan's been distant lately. How shameless. Shameless? My guy, you paid me hundreds of thousands of dollars so I could dress like your crush and not touch you. But sure, I'm the shameless one. If I had any pride left, I would have stood up and stormed out. But I was still in shock, mentally and physically, so I stayed on the ground, trying to process what I was seeing. The more I looked at Sophia, the more I understood everything. Every detail fell into place like puzzle pieces I should have seen months ago. Ryan's specific demands for outfits, Ethan's strict rules about clothing and touch, Ryan's jealousy mixed with worship, the strange familiarity in every man's gaze, their shared disdain for me despite paying me. They weren't just in love with her, they were obsessed with her. Not in a normal crush on the popular girl way. In a we grew up together, she was our emotional nucleus and our moral compass and our first love and maybe our entire universe kind of way. 8 childhood friends, raised together, adored her together, bonded through her like some kind of shared fairy tale. Of course they all wanted the same type of girl. Of course they gravitated toward me. I looked like her. Not identical, but similar enough that they could squint and pretend. Sophia shifted slightly, her eyes still watery. Please don't fight over me, she whispered, voice trembling. I care about you all, equally. We promised to always stay together, remember? Just the 9 of us. 9, meaning her plus the 8 men, not me. But the way she said it, you'd think she was inviting me into their childhood pact, a pact I didn't even want a membership in. Her innocence was so weaponized that I could see exactly how 8 intelligent men lost their common sense around her. Sophia turned toward me then, her gaze gentle, almost apologetic. For a moment, I thought she was going to help me up or say something kind. But instead, she asked the men, "Is she one of your friends too? She looks familiar." Her voice softened, full of sweetness. And that sweetness turned the men's scowls into something even darker. Jack's face twisted. "She is nothing like you," he snapped at Sophia, as if reassuring her. "Don't compare her to yourself." Ethan scoffed under his breath. Ryan shook his head violently, as though denying the possibility that I could share even one molecule with his goddess. I realized then Sophia hadn't asked because she didn't recognize me. She asked to test their loyalty. And they passed. With flying, delusional colors. Something in my stomach twisted. Even if they looked at me with desire, admiration, or dependency, they never really saw me. They saw the ghost of Sophia superimposed over my face. And in that moment, that ghost flickered, and they hated me for it. After Sophia made her teary announcement, the mood shifted dramatically. Jack immediately pulled out a chair for her like she was royalty. Ethan handed her a warm drink he stole from someone else's table. The others crowded around her with questions, apologies, assurances. I remained on the floor, invisible. That would have been a good time to leave. But then Ryan remembered the little mission he hired me for. And apparently, I was still expected to play my part, despite the entire plan imploding like a cheap firework. He crouched down next to me, grabbed my arm tightly, and hissed, "Why didn't you cling to me when I pushed you? You were supposed to make her jealous." I blinked at him. "I was supposed to cling to you while I was mid-fall?" "Yes!" His logic was astounding. I jerked my arm away, my irritation finally bubbling over. "Ryan, you shoved me hard enough to bruise my spine." He didn't even flinch. Instead, he pulled out his phone and typed something with rapid, angry taps. Seconds later, my phone buzzed. "Ryan Chen transferred $5 million to you." My jaw dropped. Ryan sneered. "For the injury, and the disappointment, and your incompetency." I should have been grateful. $5 million was more money than I thought I'd ever see in my life. But all I felt was disgust. Not at the money. At the fact that I had let 8 men treat me like a replaceable doll for months just because I was desperate. I stood up, slowly, painfully, and said nothing. No goodbye, no fake smile, no act. I just walked away. Out the door, out of the restaurant, out of their world. I didn't even look back. That night, I went home, closed the door to my tiny rented apartment, and simply sat on the floor. The adrenaline crash hit hard. I cried for the first time in a long time. Real crying, not the practiced, teary-eyed manipulation I used for work. I wasn't crying because I was a victim. I was crying because I realized I had let myself become a hollow version of a person. Someone who pretended to be 8 different fantasies. Someone who forgot she had her own face. When I finally composed myself, I took my phone, opened my contacts, and blocked all 8 men. Then I blocked their assistants, and their drivers, and their emergency numbers. Then I deleted the schedule I'd color-coded for 3 months. For the first time in ages, my calendar was empty. Completely empty. It felt terrifying and liberating. I thought that was the end of the story, but 3 days later, 8 luxury cars parked outside my apartment, and the landlord came running to find me with panic in her eyes. "Olivia, it's terrible. 8 men are outside, fighting each other. They all say they're your boyfriend." That's when I knew I hadn't escaped anything. The real chaos was just beginning. 3 days. I only had 3 peaceful days before everything unraveled again. Honestly, those 72 hours felt like a tiny slice of paradise. I slept without setting alarms. I cooked actual food instead of convenience store snacks. I even washed my hair without rushing, hunting to myself under the warm water like some girl in a shampoo commercial. For the first time in months, I felt like a person, not a placeholder, not a shadow, not someone else's fantasy, just me. But freedom apparently is fragile, because on the 4th morning, the universe decided to throw me directly into hell. I had just bought a whole chicken from the wet market, planning to make soup. Not a fancy meal, but a real one. The kind my childhood self used to dream about when we got bland porridge in the orphanage. I was still holding the chicken in a plastic bag when my landlady, Mrs. Lynn, sprinted toward me like she was fleeing a war zone. Her face was pale, her hair sticking out of her bun like loose antennae. "Olivia, quick, come! Your boyfriends, 8 of them! They're outside fighting. It's violence. I think someone is bleeding." I blinked. Once. Twice. My what? She grabbed my wrist with both hands and shook it like she was trying to rattle sense into me. Your boyfriends! They said they're all dating you! They're fighting over you! The chicken slid slightly in the bag, its cold weight hitting my wrist. I stared at her. I have 8 ex-boyfriends, not boyfriends. She stared back. They don't agree with the ex part. Of course they didn't. My apartment building is old, the kind where you can hear someone sneezing from 3 units away. Normally, the alley in front of it is quiet, occupied only by stray cats and the occasional auntie sweeping leaves. But that morning, it looked like the aftermath of a movie fight scene. 8 luxury cars lined the street, black, glossy, expensive. Bentleys, Porsches, Lamborghini, even a Maybach for some dramatic reason. And in the center of them, my 8 men, punching, kicking, yelling, grabbing each other by the collar, their expensive suits torn and splattered with dirt. They were completely unhinged. I froze at the corner, gripping my chicken like a weapon. Jack Thompson's face was bruised, his lips split. His perfect CEO aura, gone. Ethan looked like someone had ripped half his shirt. He was wild-eyed, no trace of the calm professor demeanor he'd shown while lecturing me. Ryan's gold chains were broken, hanging around his neck like snapped shackles. Boyfriend #5 had one eye swelling shut. Boyfriend #7 was bleeding from the knuckles, panting like a rabid dog. All of them were yelling variations of, "She cheated on me! You seduced her behind my back! Olivia is mine!" No, you were the side piece. My brain couldn't process it. They fought each other more violently now than they had fought for Sophia, and that terrified me. I wasn't supposed to matter to them. I was supposed to be their substitute, a temporary stand-in, a tool, nothing more. So why the hell were they bleeding over me? I did what any sane human would do, slowly, step backward, gripping the chicken closer. If I could just reach the stairwell door, quietly, 1 foot at a time. But the universe hates me because the one person with predator-level senses spotted me instantly. Jack. His head snapped toward me like a horror movie creature detecting movement. His bloodshot eyes locked on mine. Olivia. His voice was ice cold. Explain. Now. 7 pairs of eyes turned in my direction. I was trapped. I tried to keep my face calm even though my soul was screaming. I inhaled, forced my voice soft and shaky. The last few months trained me to... Hi? Not my best moment. They all froze, mid-grab, still holding on to each other's collars and neckties, panting, torn, bleeding, but suddenly silent. 8 pairs of furious, betrayed eyes zoomed in on me. If looks could kill, they'd be dividing my funeral costs. I attempted a diplomatic smile. Can we all calm down? Boyfriend #5, the one with the double black eyes, stepped forward first. Olivia Clark, tell us the truth. Out of the 8 of us, who do you really love? The audacity. I almost dropped the chicken. Love? Them? The men who wouldn't even let me hold their hands? I tried using the Sophia Lynn method. Softness, tears, innocence, even though it tasted like poison. I pinched my thigh, summoned some fake wetness in my eyes, and whispered, "Please don't fight. You're all my closest friends. In my heart, you're all equally important." 8 faces twisted in synchronized disgust. I had achieved the opposite effect. Boyfriend #6 snorted. "Friends? Don't insult us." Ethan flicked dust off his ripped sleeve, glaring. "You think you're worthy of being our friend?" Jack scoffed, voice dripping arrogance, even with a bruised jaw. "You're still just a substitute. Don't get delusional." "Okay." Ouch. My eye twitched. It almost worked. I could see some of them calming down, some even loosening their grips on each other. But then, Ryan, the traitor, stepped forward with his swollen cheek and busted lip. He lifted his chin proudly. She begged me before, said she wanted to stay by my side forever. The world went silent. 8 heads snapped in Ryan's direction. I stared at him, horrified. Ryan, what? He ignored me. He continued smugly. "If she ties with all of you, I'll forgive her." Forgive? Forgive? Sir, even your cologne is a war crime. The other 7 men glared at him like he just declared himself king of the idiots. I could practically hear their thoughts. "So you think you're the main character?" Boyfriend #5, still the most unhinged, suddenly gasped. His eyes widened dramatically. "You're pregnant? The alley went dead silent. I stared at him. He stared at me. The chicken stared at all of us. What? Chaos Part 2 began instantly. Ryan shouted, "With who?" Jack snapped, "Impossible. She's not allowed to be pregnant." Ethan yelled, "We need a paternity test." Boyfriend number 7 grabbed his hair, screaming, "If she's pregnant, I swear I..." Boyfriend number 5 shrieked, "Who's the father?" At that point, I genuinely considered throwing the chicken at them and sprinting away. This was no longer a misunderstanding. This was a hallucination, a group psychosis, a delusional collective meltdown. My voice cracked as I shouted back, "I'm not pregnant, you lunatics!" But no one listened. No one ever listened. Not when I said I didn't love them, not when I said I didn't want money, not even now when I was trying to tell them basic biology. They talked over me, arguing, shouting, pushing each other again. My head throbbed, my heart raced, and all I could think was, if this is how they're acting now, what happens next? Because these men, all 8 of them, weren't just angry, they were becoming obsessed. Not with Sophia, with me. And that terrified me more than anything else. The word pregnant was still echoing off the alley walls when the situation detonated like a bomb. It was like watching 8 mental breakdowns happening simultaneously in different fonts. Chaos 2.0. Delusion Deluxe Edition. I stood there gripping my chicken like a lifeline while 8 men tried to publicly assign paternity for a pregnancy that didn't exist. But try telling them that. I raised both arms like a referee at a boxing match. "Hello, I'm literally not pregnant." No one heard me. Jack turned to Ryan. "Did you do something irresponsible with her?" Ryan threw his hands up. "I haven't even hugged her." Ethan shoved Ryan back. "Then why was she at your dinner?" Ryan shoved him harder. "Because I hired her, you academic penguin." Boyfriend number 5 pointed at me dramatically with blood dripping from his lip. "Just tell us the father." I clutched the chicken tighter. "I will hit someone with this poultry, I swear to God." Silence. Just 3 seconds. Then, "Is it mine? Did we do something while I was drunk? Maybe she forgot. Maybe she doesn't know yet." I let out a strangled noise. These men needed therapy, jail time, and possibly an MRI. For the first 3 months, they never truly cared about me. I was the stand-in, the replica, the human version of a cardboard cutout used for emotional cosplay. But something changed that day. Maybe it was the shock of seeing the others. Maybe it was the Savia at the dinner. Maybe it was the fact that I blocked them. Whatever it was, it triggered something in all 8 of them, because when the yelling quieted for a moment, Jack stepped forward first, bleeding, dusty, angry, but with a terrifying calm. "Olivia, come with me." I blinked. "What?" He extended his hand like a CEO offering a contract instead of a lifeline. "I'll take responsibility if you're pregnant." My jaw unhinged. Before I could respond, Ethan stepped between us. "No, she should come with me. I can ensure she receives proper medical care." Ryan snapped his hands aggressively. "Back off, she belongs with me. I've invested the most." "Boy, I am not a startup." Boyfriend number 7 said dead serious. "If she's pregnant, I want to raise the child, alone, with her." Boyfriend number 4, "No, she should stay with me. I've known her longest." "Buddy, I met you 3 months ago. Calm down." Boyfriend number 5, still the most deranged, suddenly grabbed my wrist. "Let her choose." I yanked my hand back. "I choose none of you." You think that would settle things, but to 8 unstable men, those words were gasoline. A soft, low growl came from Jack's throat, not figuratively, a real animalistic sound. "She's rejecting us because she's overwhelmed. Don't pressure her." What psychological gymnastics was that? Ethan pushed his glasses up, even though one lens was cracked from the fight. "She's clearly in denial. Understandable, given the stress." "Denial? My brother in academia, what book did you read?" Ryan rubbed his jaw and muttered, "She's always getting emotional when she's scared. We should take her inside." "Inside where? The void?" Boyfriend number 6 crossed his arms. "We need to remove her from all of you. She's confused." "No, sir. I am very clear about my fear, thank you." I was too stunned by their interpretations of reality to react when the situation escalated further. Jack reached for my arm again. Ethan stepped forward to block him. Ryan lunged. Within seconds, 8 men were fighting again, but this time not with each other. For me. Not for Sophia. For me. I stumbled back, heart pounding. This wasn't playful jealousy. This wasn't delusion light. This was dangerous. Because for the first time, I saw possession in their eyes. Not romantic, not affectionate. Possession. Like they decided I was worth claiming. And if they got their hands on me, I knew I wouldn't be able to walk away again. Eventually, their screaming reached the volume that made my landlady step outside again. Mrs. Lynn stared at the carnage, the designer suits, the blood, the luxury cars, 8 grown men acting like feral raccoons. And she did the most landlady thing possible. She pinched her nose bridge, sighed dramatically, and yelled, "Oi, If you break my gate, I'll charge you extra rent. All 8 men froze mid-punch. 8 heads slowly turned toward her. She glared back with the ferocity of a woman who'd handled decades of overdue rent and noisy neighbors. If you want to fight over a girl, do it somewhere else. Then she pointed at me. Olivia, handle your mess before I faint. And she stomped back inside. I wanted to cry, or scream, or teleport to another continent. Instead, I found myself whispering, "You guys need to go home." Jack shook his head calmly. "Not until we resolve this." Ethan adjusted his torn shirt. "We need answers." Ryan wiped blood from his lip. "You're not getting rid of us that easily." Oh, God. I took a breath, the longest, deepest breath of my entire life, and tried again. "I am not pregnant." They blinked. No one responded. I tried again. "I don't love any of you." They all flinched. Good. "I don't want to date any of you." A few mouths tightened. "I blocked all of you because I'm done." Then Jack said something so astonishing, I forgot how to speak. "You're lying." Ethan nodded thoughtfully. "She's clearly pushing us away to test our sincerity." Ryan added, "She wants us to fight for her." Boyfriend number 7 whispered softly, "We won't give up on you." I slapped a hand to my forehead. No, 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 no. I'm literally telling you the truth." Boyfriend number 5 pointed at my stomach dramatically. "Then why did you touch your stomach when you said that?" I screamed, "Because I'm hungry." They finally stopped shouting. Not because of anything I said, but because a familiar voice drifted from behind us. Soft, gentle, delicate. "Olivia?" I stiffened. Slowly I turned. Standing behind me, dressed in yet another perfect white outfit, was Sophia Lynn. Her eyes widened when she saw the scene. Her lips trembled. Her fingers curled around the edge of her cardigan. She was terrified. "Why are you hurting each other again?" The men froze. 8 hearts stopped beating. Their entire world reoriented toward her in a millisecond. But Sophia wasn't looking at them. She was looking at me. Not with malice, not with pity, with fear. She knew something I didn't. Like she had seen this before. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't the first time 8 men had lost their minds over a girl. It was just the first time the girl wasn't Sophia. When Sophia whispered my name, the whole alley fell silent. 8 men froze, like statues, like someone pressed pause on a chaotic, violent movie. Their bodies were still bruised and bleeding, their clothes torn, but the second Sophia appeared, they transformed. The rage evaporated, the tension dissolved. They straightened their backs, wiped their mouths, moved their hair, and tried to pretend they weren't seconds away from committing homicide. Sophia was the calm in their storm. But her eyes, they weren't calm. For the first time since I met her, Sophia looked scared. Just not scared of them. She was scared for me. Ethan reached her first. "Sophia, don't come near. It's dangerous." Ryan cut him off sharply. "Dangerous because they're here." Jack stepped forward too, voice suddenly gentle. "You should have called us before coming alone." They surrounded her like bodyguards, like knights around a princess. A formation they'd probably practiced since childhood. But Sophia slipped through them like water and walked straight toward me. Her steps were small, hesitant, but determined. She stopped only a few feet away, her eyes flicking between my face and the chicken in my hand. Then she whispered, "Are you hurt?" I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Not because of fear, not because of confusion, but because no one in months had asked me that question. Not Jack, not Ethan, not Ryan. None of the 8 men who used my existence like therapy. Just Sophia, the girl whose shadow I'd been copying for 3 months. I swallowed. "I'm fine." She looked unconvinced. Her hand trembled slightly at her side. I saw the money transfer from Ryan. The men stiffened. Jack sharply turned toward Ryan. "You sent her money again?" Ryan's jaw clenched. She deserved compensation. Ethan scoffed. $5 million for what, falling? Boyfriend number 6, if anyone should be compensating her, it's you. Sophia's voice cut through their argument like soft lightning. Stop. 8 men fell silent instantly. Her gaze settled on me again, softening. Olivia, I think we need to talk. The boys wanted to follow. Of course they did. 8 giant, overgrown golden retrievers with abandonment issues. But Sophia held up a hand, alone. They obeyed, reluctantly. grudgingly, like toddlers told to stay put. Sophia led me to the side of the alley, behind a parked Bentley. She took a deep breath, clutching her cardigan. Up close, she looked more human. Not a goddess, not a fantasy, not a symbol. Just a young woman who had grown up with too much devotion aimed at her. She kept glancing back at the men, fear flickering across her features. Then she lowered her voice. I'm sorry. I blinked. For all of this. She gestured vaguely to the chaos behind us. The bruises, the broken chains, the blood, the screaming. I didn't know they hired someone who looked like me. They didn't tell me. Her voice cracked. If I knew, I would have stopped them. I didn't even want them, I muttered before I could stop myself. She winced. I know. I can tell. Silence settled between us. Awkward. Heavy. Real. Then she said something that chilled me to my bones. They've done this before. I blinked. What? Sophia swallowed hard. This isn't the first time they've all fixated on the same person. A chill crawled up my spine. I gripped my chicken tighter. How many? She shook her head. Not many, but enough. I waited. She avoided my gaze. They don't handle losing well. My stomach dropped. I whispered, losing who? Sophia finally met my eyes, and the look she gave me wasn't jealousy, wasn't rivalry, not even sadness. It was pity. You. Before I could ask anything else, a voice boomed behind us. Ryan. Sophia, don't talk to her alone. Ethan. She could be manipulating you. Jack. We don't know her intentions. Boyfriend number 5 with 2 black eyes. Is she trying to turn Sophia against us? I threw my hands up. I'm literally just standing here. But the boys didn't care. They were marching toward us with the collective energy of a cult. Sophia instinctively stepped in front of me, shielding me. And that was the moment everything shifted, because all 8 men froze mid-step. Their eyes widened, their jaws clenched. Confusion, shock, hurt, then something darker. Possessiveness. It happened so fast I couldn't comprehend it. Jack took a slow step forward. Sophia, why are you standing in front of her? Ethan's voice dropped to an eerie calm. Are you protecting her? Ryan's eyes narrowed. Why? She's just a substitute. Boyfriend number 7 whispered, horrified. Do you care about her more than us? Sophia looked stunned. What? No, Jack cut her off, then stepped aside. His tone wasn't polite. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't worshipful. It was a command. Sophia stiffened, eyes darted to me for help, but the boys were already misinterpreting everything, again. Boyfriend number 4 snarled. Is she blackmailing you? Boyfriend number 6, did she threaten you? Ryan, I knew she was manipulative. Oh, for God's sakes, I snapped, but they didn't hear me. Instead, something terrifying flickered in their eyes. They were starting to see me as a threat, not a substitute, not a doll, not a placeholder, a rival, a woman Sophia protected, a woman Sophia seemed afraid for. And because they worshipped her, that meant one thing. If Sophia feared for me, then maybe there was something about me worth fighting for. Jack suddenly turned his full attention to me. Olivia, come here. I stepped back instinctively. Ethan tried softening his tone. We just want to help you. Ryan added quickly. We can take care of you. No, I snapped. All of you need help. Boyfriend number 5's eyes softened with a strange emotional glimmer. We can get help together. I had to resist the urge to throw the chicken at his head. Sophia grabbed my wrist. Her hand was ice cold. Olivia, leave, now. My heart slammed against my ribs. Leave where? I whispered. Sophia swallowed. Just away. From them. The boys heard that, and something in them snapped. In a split second, Jack lunged. Ethan grabbed my other arm. Ryan tried to pull me backward. 2 others moved to block Sophia. 1 grabbed my bag. Another reached for my phone. Sophia screamed, stop, and I reacted without thinking. I swung the chicken. Yes, the entire raw chicken right into Jack Thompson's perfect billionaire face. Thwack. He stumbled back, stunned. Ethan froze. Ryan blinked. Boyfriend number 5 whispered, did she just assault a CEO with poultry? And I bolted. My legs moved before my brain did. Down the alley, across the street, past the parked cars, heart in my throat. Behind me, I heard all 8 men shouting my name, Sophia yelling at them to stop, someone tripping, someone screaming at Ryan, someone fighting again. I sprinted like my life depended on it. Because suddenly, it did. These weren't harmless, delusional men anymore. They were 8 unstable, possessive, competitive, ego-driven men who had decided I was theirs, and they wouldn't let go easily. As I ran, Sophia's voice replayed over and over. They don't handle losing well. They've done this before. Be careful. Leave. For 3 months, I thought Sophia Lynn was my rival. But she wasn't. She was the only one who understood the danger. The only one who tried to warn me. The only one who saw what the men were becoming. And the only one who knew how this story could end. By the time I stopped running, my lungs felt like they had been soaked in acid. I ducked into a tiny convenience store 2 blocks away, hiding between a shelf of instant noodles and cheap laundry soap. My hands shook so badly, I almost dropped the chicken I was holding. God, I assaulted a billionaire with poultry. There was no recovery from that. I peeked through the store window. No men, no luxury cars, no Sophia. Just the quiet hum of the fluorescent lights buzzing above me and my heart pounding like a war drum. For the first time in months, I felt afraid. Not annoyed afraid. Not, this is chaotic afraid. Real fear. The kind that crawls under your skin and whispers, this is only going to get worse. I paid for a water bottle with trembling hands, took a few sips, and walked home. No, ran home. When I reached my apartment, the alley was empty. The men were gone, their cars were gone, even Mrs. Lynn was nowhere in sight. But a new fear crept up my spine. What if they were coming back? What if they were waiting somewhere, watching? I shut the door, locked it, bolted it, and pushed a chair against it. Not exactly Fort Knox, but all I had. Then I stood in the middle of my tiny room and whispered to myself, I need to get out of here. Not tomorrow, not next week. Tonight. I grabbed my suitcase from the closet, the cheap kind that loses a wheel if you look at it wrong, and started stuffing it with the essentials. Clothes, cash, the contract printouts, emergency chocolate, my documents. But when I opened my drawer, I froze. There were things I didn't put there. Tiny boxes, wrappers, ribbons, gifts, 8 of them. My stomach twisted. I opened the first box, a diamond bracelet from Jack. Second box, a luxury watch from Ethan. Third, a necklace. Fourth, a perfume bottle identical to the one Sophia always wore. 8 gifts neatly arranged, each with handwritten notes. From 8 men I had blocked, who had no way to reach me, who somehow found their way into my apartment. My hands shook as I read the notes. Jack, I'll forgive your outburst. Come back. Ethan, let me take care of you properly. Ryan, we're not done. Boyfriend number 7, don't leave us. And the last note, from boyfriend number 5, chilled me the most. For the baby. I dropped the note like it was hot coal. I wasn't even pregnant. And yet, in that delusional man's mind, we apparently shared a child. This wasn't funny anymore. I froze. My heart went silent. My lungs stopped moving. My skin tightened. Then, Olivia, it's me, Sophia. Her voice wasn't sweet or delicate this time. It was shaking, urgent. I unlocked the door but kept the chain on and cracked it open. Sophia stood outside wearing a hoodie and glasses, trying to blend in. Her hair was tied hastily, like she ran here. She looked over her shoulder twice before whispering, We have to talk. Now, before they come back. I hesitated. Sophia put her palm gently against the door. I'm trying to help you. Something in her voice, something raw, made me trust her. I unlatched the chain and let her in. She stepped inside and immediately locked the door behind us. Then she pulled the curtains closed with trembling fingers. Sophia Lynn, the girl worshipped by 8 men like a fragile goddess, was terrified. She turned to me. Olivia, they won't stop. My throat tightened. Stop what? Her eyes filled with tears, but not the controlled, delicate ones she used on the men. These were real. Panicked. Human. They won't stop until they get what they want. And what do they want? I whispered. Sophia inhaled shakily. You. The air vanished from my lungs. No, I croaked. They want you. They always wanted you. Sophia shook her head. Not anymore. She stepped closer. Something changed at the dinner. I swallowed hard. When Ryan pushed me? She shook her head. When you fell. When they saw you hurt. When they saw me hesitate. Her voice cracked. They realized you're not just a copy. You're someone they can lose. She looked down at her trembling hands. And they don't handle loss. A pause. A long one. Sophia whispered, The last girl who looks like me? She tried to leave. My heart slammed in my chest. What happened? Sophia swallowed again. She couldn't. Couldn't. How? Sophia shut her eyes tightly. She disappeared. My stomach dropped. Disappeared, as in, no one saw her again. Oh God. A metallic taste coated my tongue. But they wouldn't. Sophia cut me off softly. They don't hurt people deliberately. They don't think they're dangerous. But together, they're unpredictable. She took my hands. You need to leave the city. Tonight. I stared at her, stunned. Where would I even go? Sophia pulled out an envelope from her bag and pressed it into my hands. Take this. Inside were train tickets, cash, a burner phone. I stared at her. You planned this? Sophia bit her lip. The second you ran, I knew what they'd do next. What's next? I whispered. Her answer made my blood turn to ice. They'll search for you. I felt dizzy. Why? I blocked them. They all hate me. Sophia took a deep breath. They didn't chase me when I left at dinner. They chased you. Because for the first time, someone ran from them. As if summoned by fate, my phone buzzed. A message from a number I didn't know. Why did you run? Another message. Where are you? Another. We just want to talk. Then a picture of my apartment building from across the street. My blood froze solid. Sophia grabbed my phone. It's starting. I stumbled back, legs weak. Starting what? Sophia exhaled shakily. The obsession. Another buzz. Another message. Come outside. Then, or we'll come in. Sophia's face drained of color. Olivia, we have to leave now. We grabbed my suitcase. Sophia shoved the gifts into a trash bag and tied it shut. Do not take anything they gave you. Not a single thing. I didn't argue. We climbed down the fire escape, Sophia leading, me following with shaking legs. The metal ladder rattled loudly under us, and every sound made my heart leap. When we reached the alley, Sophia peeked around the corner. Her breath hitched. They're here. I felt my soul disintegrate. We hid behind the dumpster as footsteps approached, heavy, purposeful. Jack's cold voice. She's close. Ethan. Her phone last pinged here. Ryan. Check every building. I covered my mouth with my hand, shaking violently. Sophia pressed a finger to her lips, signaling me to stay silent. We waited, seconds stretching into minutes. My heart beat louder than their footsteps. When their voices finally faded, Sophia grabbed my wrist. Run. Don't look back. We bolted toward the main street, blending into the crowd. I clutched the burner phone, the envelope, my suitcase, everything Sophia gave me. Every nerve in my body screamed danger. Every shadow looked like them. Every footstep made me flinch. But Sophia kept guiding me. Away from the alley, away from the apartment, away from them. And for the first time, I realized something terrifying. Sophia wasn't my rival. She was the only person trying to save me. We reached the station 30 minutes later, both panting. Sophia bought a cloak-like jacket for me at a stall and pulled the hood over my head. Blend in, she whispered. She walked me to platform 11, glancing over her shoulder constantly. The train was arriving. My escape. My freedom. Or something close to it. Sophia squeezed my hand tightly. When you're safe, message me on the burner. I'll tell you what to do next. Why are you helping me? I whispered, voice breaking. Her eyes softened, but there was sadness too. Because I know what it feels like to be trapped. Then she added softly, and because I choose you. My breath caught. Choose me? For what? Sophia stepped back. To break the cycle. Before I could ask more, she pushed me gently toward the train. Go. The doors opened. I stepped inside. The train began to move. And just as it pulled away from the platform, I saw them. All 8 of them, running toward the train. My heart dropped to my knees. This wasn't over. Not even close. When I saw them running toward the train, 8 silhouettes in expensive coats hurtling down the platform like a pack of wolves, my blood turned to ice. The train doors slid shut with a soft ding. The platform blurred as we picked up speed, but their figures grew clearer even as the distance increased. Jack first, long strides, jaw clenched, eyes locked on mine like a sniper. Ethan right beside him, pushing through people with surprising aggression for a professor. Ryan trailing slightly, shouting my name like he owned the air around him. And the others, bruised, bleeding, frantic, sprinting like their lives depended on catching me. 8 men. 8 obsessions. 8 reasons to run forever. I stumbled backward down the aisle, my breath catching on every heartbeat. They saw me. They recognized me. They were coming. People inside the train stared, confused, concerned, but I couldn't speak. My voice had abandoned me. My trembling fingers found the burner phone. Sophia had told me to text her when I was safe, but safe didn't feel real anymore. I pressed myself against the far wall of the train, chest heaving. By the time the train left the station entirely, only one silhouette was still visible. Jack. standing perfectly still at the edge of the platform, staring at the train's window. At me. And even from that distance, I could feel it. He wasn't going to give up. None of them were. I sank into an empty seat as the city landscape smeared into streaks of neon and concrete. The train hummed quietly beneath me, too calm for the panic roaring in my skull. Every time the conductor's voice echoed through the speakers, my body jolted. Every time someone walked past my seat, my heart seized. I kept expecting to look up and see one of them there, Jack grabbing my wrist, Ethan cornering me with false calm, Ryan smirking like he'd won. But they weren't here. Not yet. I tried to breathe. A slow inhale. A shaky exhale. Sophia believed this escape would work. But the deeper truth dawned on me now. Sophia knew them better than anyone, and she was still scared, which meant whatever came next was bigger than anything I imagined. The train rocketed through the outskirts of the city, toward the darkness beyond. I checked the time. Sophia's envelope said, train, bus, safe house. Then, new identity, new number, new city. Sophia planned this well, almost too well. Which made me wonder, had she done this before? Helped someone else escape? Failed to save someone? The thought made my throat tighten. Before I could spiral further, the burner phone buzzed. A message from Sophia. Don't get off at the next stop. They'll check there first. Another buzz. Stay hidden. I'm buying you time. I whispered into the empty seat. Buying time from what? Then the phone buzzed again, but this time, the number wasn't Sophia's. New message. You shouldn't have run. I froze. Another. We're coming. Then, we know where the train stops. My stomach dropped so fast it felt like falling through the floor. They got my new number already. They were tracking me. Again. I swallowed back rising panic and turned the phone off completely. But the damage was done. They were coming, and I was running out of darkness to hide in. After an hour, the train screeched into a nearly empty rural station, the kind with 2 dim lamps, a vending machine, and silence thick enough to choke on. This was my stop. The conductor's voice echoed. Next stop, West Holden. I grabbed my suitcase, pulled my hood tighter, and stepped into the cold night air. Crickets chirped in the surrounding fields. Wind rustled the tall grass. The station was quiet. Almost peaceful. Almost. I moved quickly toward the exit, following Sophia's handwritten directions. Take the footpath behind the station, then walk 12 minutes to the bus depot. I glanced back once. No men, no luxury cars, no 8 sets of eyes watching me. Good. I slipped into the narrow dirt path behind the station, hidden between tall stalks of overgrown weeds. The moonlight barely lit the way, but I kept walking. One step, another, and another, toward freedom, or something like it. Halfway down the path, the burner phone rang. My heart stalled. I hesitated, then answered. Hello? Sophia's breathless voice rushed through the speaker. Olivia, listen carefully. I don't have much time. Sophia? What's happening? I delayed them for as long as I could, but they split up. They're searching in different directions. My heart slammed painfully. Which direction? She inhaled shakily. Yours. I stopped walking. The night seemed to swallow the sound around me. I whispered, barely audible. Sophia, why are they doing this? What do they want from me? Silence. Then, you ran. What? Olivia, no one has ever ran. Not like that. Not from all of them. You broke the pattern. My grip tightened around the phone. She continued softly. When someone breaks the pattern, they become the new center. The new what? Sophia exhaled, voice cracking. The person they orbit. The person they chase. My blood turned cold. What about you? For the first time, Sophia's voice sounded tired, small, defeated. They never chased me. I never ran. I froze. She added, they don't want someone who stays. They want someone who escapes. Something inside me shattered. They don't love me. No, she said softly. It's not love. A breeze rustled the field. Sophia whispered, Olivia, they're not chasing you because they love you. They're chasing you because losing you feels like losing control. I felt sick. Sophia's voice dropped to a whisper. You can still outrun them, but you can't go back. Her voice broke. I'm sorry. Then the phone disconnected. I stared at the dark screen, heart beating too loud. A warning, a goodbye, and a truth I didn't want. I wasn't running from love. I was running from obsession. And obsession doesn't stop. I forced myself to keep walking toward the bus depot. 5 minutes. 4. 3. Almost there. Almost. Snap. A branch broke behind me. Then another. Footsteps. Heavy. Deliberate. Close. Too close. My breath caught. I didn't dare turn around. A voice. Cold, calm, familiar. Sliced through the night behind me. Olivia. Jack. He was the last person I wanted to hear. The calmest, the smartest, the most dangerous. I kept walking. He kept following. Why are you running from us? My voice trembled. You know why. He took a step closer. You don't have to be afraid. My throat tightened. Yes, I do. I heard the faintest sigh behind me. A disappointment. A decision. Then you leave me no choice. My heart dropped. I spun around and collided with a different figure. Ethan. He stood directly in front of me, silent, expression unreadable, clothes still dirty from the earlier fight. His hand reached out, slow, determined. The men froze, every muscle in their bodies locked. And behind the officers, stepping out of a squad car, hair messy, eyes wild, Sophia. Her voice cracked as she screamed, "She's here! Help her!" The men turned toward her, stunned, betrayed, furious. But it didn't matter. Officers surged forward. Hands grabbed my arms, but gently, guiding me backward, away from them, away from danger, away from the 8 men who wanted to own me. For the first time in weeks, I felt safe. Sophia ran to me and pulled me into a shaking hug. I told them everything, she whispered, breath trembling. Every lie, every manipulation, everything they did. They can't touch you now. I broke. I sobbed into her shoulder because Sophia didn't just warn me, she saved me. And in that moment, I finally understood. Sophia wasn't my enemy. The 8 men's obsession was. A few days later, after statements, restraining orders, and safety arrangements, I left the city. Sophia helped me one last time, quietly, discreetly, without fanfare. When I boarded the final bus out, she hugged me tightly. "Don't let them define you," she whispered. "Live your life, your real one." I nodded, tears blurring my vision. "Will you be okay?" I whispered. Sophia smiled softly, a tired, fragile smile. I'm finally free too. And as the bus pulled away, the city shrinking behind me, I breathed for the first time in months. A real breath. Sharp. Clean. Mine. No 8 men chasing me. No shadows. No substitutes. No ghosts. Just Olivia. Finally.